Hello and welcome to ProveText. I am Michael Halcomb, and in this episode, I'm thinking about three things that I want to share with you. In the previous week of the Three Things mini-series, I shared with you three tombs that I saw while I was recently touring Italy, and I thought I'd share with you three more things that are related to Christianity that I saw while also traveling throughout Italy. Now, there are a bunch of things, and perhaps in future episodes I'll share more, but here are three of them. If you're watching, I'm gonna share some images here, but if you're just listening, that's great too. You can, of course, still follow along. So, the first place that I want to share with you about is the Church of Saint Bartholomew, also called Nathanael in the New Testament, and this is his tomb. It is uh, right inside, really, the city limits of Rome, and on a little island, on a little church on an island in the city of Rome. And you can see here in the picture it says Corpus Sancti Bartholomew Apostoli. So it just means the body of Saint Bartholomew Apostle, or the Apostle Saint Bartholomew, again, who was also Nathanael. Now, this is in a pretty incredible church because, if I'm remembering correctly, the name of the church where this is stored is Church of the New Martyrs. And so when you walk into the sanctuary, when you look straight ahead up on the altar, this is what you'll see is the tomb of St. Bartholomew. But on the right side and on the left side, there are three or four different chapels. And within each of those chapels aligning the entire cathedral, there are dedications to martyrs from the 20th and 21st century. So, for instance, we saw belongings of Oscar Romero, for example. Many of you maybe have heard of him. And so it's really powerful to walk through there and read the accounts of these martyrs and these belongings that are attached to them. It's really just a humble place. Out of all the churches I visited across Italy, this was one of the most moving. And this is probably one of the lesser visited as well, so less tourist traffic, if you will. But when you're going through Italy, as I said in the previous episode, you can see the tomb of St. Mark, the tomb of St. Peter, the tomb of St. Paul, and here's another one less known about, the tomb of St. Bartholomew or St. Nathanael. So if you're in Italy, I'd highly commend visiting this site to you. Another place that I visited in Italy was the Church of Three Fountains. Now, this is kind of just on the outskirts of Rome. This is the site where Paul was beheaded. They're supposedly beheaded. And in the picture that I'm showing, there's this little column, and this is supposedly marking the precise site where Paul was beheaded. Now, legend has it that when he was beheaded, his head fell off and bounced three times, and in each of the places where it bounced, a new fountain or natural spring arose. And so in this cathedral or sanctuary, you actually have these three places where there used to be natural springs. And the idea, one of the practices here was that, for some time, people believed this site was holy and sacred, and so they came to drink from these natural springs, believing the water was holy. Not too long ago, or some time ago rather, the springs were closed off, shut down, because people were getting poisoned, water poisoning, giardia or something from drinking the water. It's kind of a little bit of humorous historical twist there, but still cool to be in the location where Paul was, and very humbling to be in a location where it's believed that Paul was martyred. Another place that I want to share with you is called the Mamertine prison, and Scripture tells us that both Peter and Paul were imprisoned here, and this is sort of in the dungeon area where Peter and Paul would have been imprisoned. There might have been a little table sitting over in this direction above this little block that you can see in the image, and you can certainly see where probably shackles and things like that were bolted into the wall, and maybe even into the floor. So Paul could have been on house arrest here when he was in Rome and had visitors and whatnot. This is also another really humbling place. Up on there's like an intermediate level and then an upper level. On the upper level, you can visit the museum and see the centuries or decades of work excavating and renovating the site. And then in the intermediate level, there's like an altar that you can visit, and it's attached to a modern church as well. But this is called the Mamertine prison, and it's right by the Roman Forum, and very close to the Roman Colosseum, and not very far from Nero's Domus Aurea as well, Nero's Golden Palace. So all that's in very close proximity. I was wondering when I was visiting this, if Paul had been sitting here or Peter had been sitting here in prison and games had been going on in the Colosseum, would they have been able to hear the cheering and whatnot? It seems like they might have. It's in such close proximity, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Either way, this is one of my favorite places to visit. And we know with historical veracity, historical fact, that Peter and Paul were both here. So, yeah, really cool places. If you ever get to Italy, I would highly suggest visiting the Mamertine prison. I would also highly recommend visiting the Church of St. Bartholomew. And if you can get over to the Church of Three Springs, I would recommend that as well. Some really neat stuff that you wouldn't want to meet or that you wouldn't want to miss if you were visiting Italy. So, yeah, those are the three things that I'm thinking about, and I hope that helps.